because it gets juicier, guys. There was so much that happened in that salon that really did both good and bad. But let's get into the story. Hey DP Beauties, it's your girl Donna Prescott. I am the CEO and founder of Donna Prescott Beauty. Welcome back to my chat time. I am just going to get right back into the story because this is part 2, and we're going to continue chatting about the salon that actually did inspire me to actually become a salon owner. All right, so immediately after my interview with this hairstylist and started, I could tell a lot of things were different from what I was used to in the other salons that I worked. Firstly, there was a lot more structure around different areas. Structure when it came to managing the clientele, structure when it came to managing the business aspects of the business, structure when it came to the actual technical parts of doing the hair. Okay, I could tell immediately that my boss at the time, she was very talented. I mean, it was clear by, she had a huge clientele. Her work was really amazing. I found myself sitting in awe a lot of times just looking at the work that she did. And she was a master stylist, she was a master stylist. She was very skilled in many areas. She was able to cut, she was able to color, she was able to do extension services, she was able to do natural hair services. So that was very inspiring. And just looking at the salon from that aspect just showed me wow, the salons before that, one of them, it was just okay, we're gonna hustle and bustle, and there was no structure there at all. It was just a fun time. And then moving on to the second salon, I started seeing a little bit more businessy and, okay, here's the business aspect of the salon. But in this salon, I saw skills and business, everything meshed into one, right? Starting off, I was so excited. I was happy to be back working. I was just happy for this part of my journey. A lot of, I would say the time spent there, it was half and half, good and bad for me. Me and that salon owner did butt heads a lot. It presented a lot of situations where I had to literally put myself in a place where I had to look at me. Okay, so 2 big things that stood out. I had to really work on my pace when it came to actually doing my task, my salon task in the salon. That took a minute because of the volume of clients that came in. We definitely had to work on our pace. And then 2, I really had to work on my tardiness. So initially when I started in that salon, I always found myself coming in exactly at the hour of work. But I had to learn sooner or later, when you're on time, you're late already. So what she was trying to essentially teach us was to, try to get there ahead of time so that you could prepare yourself, not just, making sure that your work area is ready, your tools, your products is in place, your mindset is right, your appearance is together. If you need to have your breakfast, if you just need to set yourself up for your day, and you're not just rushing into the day. So for a minute, I had to really work on that. And me and that salon owner, we was always going at it for me being on time. All right, right after that, I feel some of the things that really inspired me in that salon about the owner as well was that she invested in herself when it came to continue and educate in herself. She took a lot of courses when it came to strengthening her skills around cutting, coloring, whatever she felt like she needed to learn. If something new came out, she was on top of it. And that showed me wow, you could always keep learning. I feel she brought some church-based background into the salon. She was a church-going lady. She had her routine of when she attended church, and she always encouraged that aspect of things, not forcing it on anybody, but it's that played into me being at work. Another thing was, she had a small family, and she was very family oriented. She was very close to her mom and her kids, and regardless of the challenges that they faced, she showed that she was always willing and ready to be there for her family. So I saw a lot of that. Another thing, she read a lot. I was someone who grew up reading, and I love reading, but before I was exposed to that type of books, and I saw that my boss at the time, she read a lot of self-development books, so she's always trying to grow her mindset, grow as a person, and she read a lot of business development books as well. And I kept a lot of notes of some of the books because I was like, wow, like I do want to see myself like becoming a better person. And then I think lastly, I think I mentioned in the last video, like I was exposed to like trade shows. I got my first experience with this salon owner. Took me to a hair show in Virginia, and that was my first time being exposed to like the wonders of being in the beauty industry, and that was like really spectacular. Some of the aspects that I learned in there was what can I say? I learned a lot of do's and do nots. Just interacting with the clients and the experience of, you know, my engagements. I learned like, you know, some of the complaints that the clients had, because it was such a huge clientele that this salon owner had. I had to learn like, okay, I need to have better management skills of how I set up my appointments and whatnot. So working in that salon, there was not a appointment based type of structure, which was surprising to me, but I guess it was back then. That was like all the way back in 07, 08, 09. This stylist worked on a first come, first serve basis, and she also had 2 hair assistants. So as I mentioned in the first video, which helped her manage her workload. And each stylist was responsible for a certain amount of or a certain type of prepping, so that once that client got through us, then she was just ready to sit in the stylist chair, get styled, and out the door. So that was pretty much like how it started. And as I got into the rhythm of working in the salon, I got comfortable with the idea that I had a supervisor. There was always someone, you know, I could watch and learn from. There was always like a cushion, so I felt comfortable working in that atmosphere. And this is my experience, and that's the only thing I could speak from. The things that happened with me, my truth. I don't know what the experience is for the other individual, but I'm going to speak from my standpoint, right? So I feel like at some point I started noticing that there was always tension between me and the salon owner. Not because of something that I specifically did. And it took me a minute for me to put my finger on what was really happening, because I always looked up to this stylist, and I was always feeling like it was such an honor to be working in that space. And, you know, I just felt like I could learn so much and whatnot. But then I just couldn't understand, like, why was there always tension? So there were just little mini things that might happen during the day, maybe with me not being on task, or sometimes not even those situations. And we would find ourselves in places where like the owner would just stop speaking to me. And I always used to wonder, like, why are you not speaking to me? Like, I would walk in and say, good morning, and I just would be met with silence. And that became a thing. So every time there was like a situation, that was like the response I was met with. So I found myself many times in the salon, not like, we're just not speaking. And then I grew into a routine of like, okay, I know what to do. Like, I come in, I check in, I go to, like, there was a list of clients normally when they came into the salon where they checked in, and we just had a routine of, okay, this assistant do the first person, I do the next, and that's just how it went. We rotated, right? So I would just go into my routine and do that stuff, but I was never able to speak to her during the times when she decided not to speak to me. And I would challenge it a lot. I would be like, you know, I don't understand like what sort of leader you're or example that you're trying to set up for us, because we're young and up and coming, and we're trying to learn the business. And being faced with that is very challenging for me to be in that type of work environment. And I was always met with like, you know, you just think you know everything or whatnot, but nothing ever changed. And we had countless meetings around this one situation. I even remember one time where the other assistant was like, oh my God, it's time for y'all to start talking, because she keeps calling my name all day and she's just not addressing you. And I was like, well, there's nothing I can do. And it's like, I just gotta wait till she snaps out of her mood of like not wanting to speak to me. I did get threatened a lot to get fired. What other things happened? And I just started feeling like I wasn't given opportunities to grow at some points. I started asking like, hey, can I do a little bit more? How do you feel about me doing this? because it was so interesting to me, and I just felt like I wanted to learn and do more. And it was always met with a no, no, no. And that started making me feel like, okay, it's going to be a cap at some point. I felt like I had seen this stylist do like jerry curls so many times that I felt like I could have did it. Mind you, I've never done jerry curls before, like the process of it. I'm like, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? And man, she was like, all right, go ahead. But it wasn't a go ahead, let me show you, let me guide you, let me help you, perfect this or do more. You gotta add the rods to get the curls to define, right? Before you add the product. Oh my God, like what I thought was easy was kind of difficult because I've never practiced actually putting on a rod. And my God, I feel like I was killing that lady because the way I was trying to put them rods on real tight, my God, like, and I could clearly see like that lady was in pain because she would be like, ugh, like when I'm pulling that rod, but I didn't want the rod to fall off. So my technique was like, put it as tight as you can. And here I am killing this poor lady. And my boss, she stepped in at some point, I guess, when she saw that that lady was in pain, and she kind of embarrassed me. She was like, I thought you said that you could do this. See, you can't do nothing. Like, why did you ask me to do this stuff? And she just took over. And I was like, oh my God, like what just happened? So that was one situation that happened. What was something else? I also remember a time when I don't know, the clients that came in, of course, they were used to us. We became friendly, and it was just always light, and the environment with them and us interacting was always cool. So this one client came in, I'm shampooing her, we're chit-chatting, we're laughing, we're having a good time. I'm feeling like I'm prepping through my stuff and, getting my stuff done. And by the time she sat in the chair, I later learned that the stylist said to her that, oh my God, for the amount of time that she's took shampooing your hair back there, I don't see what she did because your hair is still a hot mess. And I'm like, what? She said that to you? I could not believe my ears. Like, and that's when I started feeling like, okay, there's something clearly going on here. I can't figure it out, but there's something clearly going on here. And I just was like, why would you even, because I am a reflection of you, firstly, and you're saying this to a client doesn't make either one of us look good, and now you're making this client feel like we don't get along in here. So there was a lot of that. And I started realizing like maybe this lady saw me as, I don't know, I wouldn't say a threat, but you ever heard of like the people that have it going on for them, but yet still they just kind of a little miserable inside? That's kind of was the conclusion that I was coming to, because when I looked at this lady, I was like, she has everything together. From my little eyes, I was like, wow, she has it going on. She is blessed and highly favored. But then it's like, why are you so miserable and unhappy when it comes to like how you set up the work environment with me and our interactions? So at that point, I started realizing, there were so many other situations that happened. I was like, all right, it's probably time for me to move on. But what really sealed the deal for me to move on was I realized also I had to go back to, not back, but I had to go to hair school. At that time I wasn't licensed. I was working as an assistant, and if I needed to go out on my own, I needed to, make sure that I covered all my ends. So I was deciding, okay, it's time for me to go to hair school, get licensed and whatnot. So I approached her with the, okay, I'm gonna go back to school and I'm gonna try to get a routine that works for the two of us. And it was being met with like, that's not gonna work. So I'm like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? And there was also a proposal that I made. I was like, okay, on the days that I am not working with you, is it okay for me to come in and take clients and maybe work on a commission-based sort of scale? So I'll find my own clients, I'll bring them in, it's not interfering with your schedule or your clientele, and then I will do the service because I'm trying to build my skills and my my income as well. And then we could do like a commission-based sort of agreement. And that was also shut down and met with a big fat no. All she said was like, if you do that, still everybody has to pay through the salon. You don't get a commission. All you get is you can practice on that person, but like, they got to pay through the salon. So then I was like, yeah, I got to get out of here because it doesn't matter what I try, like it just wasn't going anywhere. So I decided to put an ad in the newspaper And after much deliberation, because trust me, it was hard, and I was very scared to go out on my own after working under someone for so long. And I was like, whew, I took a minute before I decided to step out on faith. And I put an ad in the newspaper, and I got a phone call from a gentleman for an interview, which I went to. I really loved the new situation that was going to be happening with me, and I kind of started feeling like, oh, my future, there's some things that could possibly happen. And I came to the salon owner, and I was like, I am going to move on, and I wanted to give you 2 months notice for you to, I think it was 2 or 3 months, so that you could find someone to replace me. I'm willing to, just work with you until then. But I feel like it's enough time for you to like get things in place to replace me. And boy, you would not imagine what happened.
I find that very weird.